This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're looking at the LG Viper 4G LTE on Sprint. This is one of Sprint's first LTE phones, and well, they don't have an LTE network yet, but when they do, rest assured you'll be able to use the Viper on it. We're going to check out the phone now. So this is the LG Viper for Sprint. This is one of their more affordable phones. I guess you'd call it mid-tier. It's $99 with contract. And it has a 4-inch, very bright IPS display that claims 700 nits of brightness. Now, it hasn't been burning my retinas exactly, but I'll take their word for it. It is pretty darn bright. It's a nice sharp display, but it's just 800 by 480 resolution, which again puts it in the mid-tier. That's pretty much the standard resolution from last year's phones, and it's certainly adequate on a 4-inch display. If you start cranking up the resolution on a display that small, text can get kind of hard to read. If we take a look around the phone, there are capacitive buttons here, 4 of them, and yes, can you see them? Well, no, I really can't see them, and that's the big problem with this phone. Somebody in the design department was a little evil-minded here, because you just can't see those buggers. And if you touch the screen, notice they don't light up. There's no setting to make them come on for some period of time. You actually have to touch a button, which means you better remember where it is, because you don't want to hit the back button if you're in the middle of a game and you're hoping to hit settings or something like that. But once you do touch them, there they are. Oh, gosh, went away real quick there, but there they are. So those are your 4 front capacitive buttons, which we are trying really hard to show you. And I'll keep my finger on it so you can see there's your back and your search. And on this side we have home and menu. You get the idea. As we take a look around the phone, it's fairly pocketable since it's a 4-inch device, fits in the hand nicely, but thin it's not. You know, thin phones are pretty in right now. This guy is a little bit of a chunky monkey. Not sure why that is. It has a 1700 milliamp battery inside, so it's not a humongous battery or anything like that. And you've got your volume controls on this side, your micro USB ports right here. Up top's your headphone jack, your power button. Nothing on this side. And down here is the pry-off point where you can take off the plastic back to access the micro SD card slot. Now that's plastic that looks sort of like brushed metal. They do a reasonably good job of convincing you. But overall the phone has, well, like kind of that 90s look or something. You know, it looks a little bit dated. 5 megapixel camera here, and we've got an LED flash. And if you want to see what's inside here, here's your battery. That's the speaker. And the micro SD card slot is right over here. And it comes with a 4 gig card pre-installed. Not such a huge card there, but again, it is a mid-tier phone, and it has 1.4 gigs of internal storage available. Now when it comes to Sprint's new LTE phones, what does twice as much money get you? It gets you the Samsung Galaxy Nexus here, which is a pure Google Android device running 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich versus the 2.3 Gingerbread that's running on the LG Viper. Certainly we'll be excited to see the HTC Evo 4G LTE, which is very similar to the HTC One X in a lot of ways. It's going to be coming out soon too as another higher end phone for those of you who do have more money to spend on your phone. With this guy you get, well, about the same processor. You get more internal storage, 16 gigs on the Galaxy Nexus, 720p display, that's Super AMOLED HD, bigger also, display, 4.65 inches. And they both have NFC, and they both support Google Wallet. Sprint does support Google Wallet, so you can use that to make payments for your latte at Starbucks or wherever else you might find out that Google Wallet is accepted. In fact, if you get the Viper, you actually get some credit on your Google Wallet account, something like 25 bucks I think it is, so you can go and get a good number of free lattes. LG hasn't customized the UI too heavily on this, you know, what's known as the LG UI. We do have the Sprint ID packs instead, that's why. So we've got an ID pack running. It's the very basic Sprint one that just gives you all of the standard Sprint applications like navigation. We've got Sprint TV, you've got NASCAR, NBA, stuff like that that are installed on here. And you can see here's the Google Wallet application that was actually pre-installed on here. You can switch to other Sprint ID packs, obviously, using the Sprint ID app. And we've got Polaris Office on board too, so you can view, edit, and create MS Office documents. And other than that, you've got your standard Google Android apps. You've got Books, Google Play Store, all that good stuff, YouTube Player, it's all there. The phone runs on a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm S3, that's third generation Snapdragon CPU with Adreno 220 graphics. That's pretty good stuff. Again, you're looking at something that's comparable to the Galaxy Nexus and other phones. In terms of benchmark, it does okay, not exceptionally wonderful, but about par for the course. We got about 2,800 on Quadrant and 5,000 on Antutu benchmark. OpenGL benchmark did not want to run on this, so we can't tell you the number for that one. The phone has Wi-Fi 802.11bgn and Bluetooth 3.0, as well as the usual GPS that work fine in our tests. And you're going to want to use that Wi-Fi. You can see we have it turned on now because this, again, is an LTE phone, and Sprint's LTE network will not launch until the summer of 2012. So we're in Dallas here, and that's going to be one of the 6 launch cities, but it's still not live yet for us. So you're looking at EVDO Rev A 3G otherwise. Now, if you're an existing Sprint customer, you know how good EVDO 3G is in your area. It might be great, it might be, in our area, it's not too strong, so we've been seeing on average about 600K for download speeds and about 400 for upload speed. So that's pretty slow. You're going to want to use that Wi-Fi. And we'll take a look at speed tests, and you can see some of the results that we've gotten. And the higher numbers, as you can guess, are when we had really full bars. Though actually, some of these numbers up top here, we had a very strong signal, but strangely we got fairly low download speeds despite that. But generally speaking, obviously, if you're going to have more bars of service, more dB, then you're going to get better download speeds. Now, while these numbers might not be too wonderful, on average it's actually done better than our Galaxy Nexus in terms of reception in dB and in terms of download speeds. Galaxy Nexus actually got lower than this, often in the 300K range for downloads. Reception is pretty good on this phone, and voice quality is also pretty good on it too. Call recipients said we were easy to understand, reasonably sharp sounding, and we had no trouble understanding them. And volume is, well, it's average for a Sprint phone, which is to say pretty good. You've got the speakerphone on the back should you need it, and that also works obviously for multimedia. On the front we have a VGA camera for video chat, so you can use Google Talk video chat or Skype. And on the back we have a 5 megapixel camera that can shoot 1080p video. And though it's only a 5 megapixel camera, LG makes a pretty good camera phone, and we liked the shots that it took. They were pretty sharp, they had nice colors, and reasonably good exposure as well. 1080p video, sometimes a little noisy, a little bit jerky, but for a 5 megapixel camera phone, really it wasn't bad at all. So let's check out some of the services that are available on the phone. Of course, you have the standard Android browser. We'll take a look at that in a minute, and we'll also check out Sprint TV, and we're going to use Wi-Fi for that because our speeds are obviously not so great for streaming over 3G. And we were watching an episode of 30 Rock that will continue now.
What are you saying, Jack? Because TGS is live.
Not anymore.
The speaker is pretty clear.
From now on, you write and shoot the whole season in 2 weeks, just like Wheel of Fortune and Fox News.
Pretty decent quality, not quite as sharp as AT&T Live TV, which is also Mobi TV powered, but it's pretty good, certainly. Very watchable.
See it like it was yesterday.
So that's Sprint TV on the LG Viper. And now we're going to check out the web browser and Adobe Flash performance. But first here you can see the Swipe keyboard that comes pre-installed. Swipe's pretty popular, so I figure most people are going to be happy to hear that. And we're doing this over Wi-Fi now since we want to test Adobe Flash, which just wouldn't be too much fun with a slower 3G signal. So it's loading pretty nicely. This is not cached. This is the first time we've gone to our site. Nice and smooth, no checkerboarding. Zoom speeds are very good as well. So holding up well. Now let's take a look at a Adobe Flash video and see how that goes. And we're looking at our Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 7-inch tablet video review here. And it's playing very nice. It looks pretty sharp. This is a nice quality screen, though it may not be high resolution. Let's see if we can pop it out to full screen. And here we have popped it out to full screen. And it's playing very nicely. And now we'll check out 1080p video playback. This is locally stored on our micro SD card, and it's 1080p high profile movie trailer. And oddly, 1080p video is not working out so well here. It's surprising because this CPU and GPU can usually handle that pretty well. So we're going to try a 720p video now. See how that does. And we're doing much better here at 720p. Isn't that unusual? Well, 720p is certainly plenty enough to fill up this 800 by 480 pixel display. And right now we have volume set about 80% of maximum. And now we're testing out Death Rally, which is a free racing shooting game, and controls are, well, pretty challenging here. But actually the game is not running quite as fast as it does on some devices, so the steering is less twitchy and ironically easier to control. So that's Death Rally on the LG Viper. And the phone can handle casual games, which are much less demanding, easily. If you want to play your Angry Birds, Plants vs. Zombies, not a problem. Works fine on the phone. It has a 1700 milliamp battery, as I mentioned, and battery life on this is okay. We got about 5 hours of actual talk time on the phone. Not the highest that we've seen on Sprint. By the way, you can disable LTE, since LTE isn't available yet. In fact, it comes from the factory with LTE disabled, so you don't end up wasting more of your battery power. So that's the LG Viper 4G LTE. It's available now on Sprint for $99 with contract, and you get a couple of freebies with that. You get some free Google Wallet dollars in your virtual wallet, and you get some additional Dropbox storage for those of you who are into using cloud storage. Cool things about the phone are the fact that it's fairly pocketable, though it's a little bit thick. It is a 4-inch form factor phone, and it's not one of those huge behemoths for those of you who hate the ever-increasing smartphone sizes. It has a bright and sharp IPS display capable of 700 nits brightness according to LG, and it has pretty good reception and pretty good voice quality. Overall, you can probably tell I'm not super excited about this phone. The looks are not really very thrilling here. Not that looks are everything, but performance is okay, but not really super fast given the CPU. Battery life is just okay as well. If you're looking to buy a Sprint smartphone, Android particularly, and you want to get LTE to be forward-looking about it, I would say, yeah, Sprint says that they're going to launch like 12 LTE phones this year, so there'll be more coming in the affordable price range. I might wait and see if you're really looking to stick with that $99 or even less for price range. Certainly if you've got more money to spend, I think that HTC Evo 4G LTE is going to be one of the phones to beat on Sprint. And even the Galaxy Nexus, for those of you who like that pure Android experience, has a lot to offer. Of course, those do cost twice as much. But again, there will be more phones coming from Sprint. So, I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Don't forget to visit our website and subscribe to our YouTube channel.